Oh boy, I've got fire to talk about. I'm listening to this sermon series about God's design. It's rooted in Genesis, and it's talking about many things. And it aligns with the things that I've been learning over the last 9 months. Essentially, the summary would be God has a very specific way to live, and all of the answers are in the Bible. So with that said, I love to learn in many different ways. I read my Bible every morning. I listen to sermons online. I go to church as often as possible. And then I read some books. And I consider all of these wonderful resources, but the main one is the Bible itself. If you're looking into resources that aren't using the Bible as the main point of the teaching, then it's probably not the resource that's going to teach you about God's way. So with that said, I'm learning about the women's role, and I'm learning about the man's role, and I'm learning about how to be a wife that's going to encourage and support my husband in his role, which here we are, almost 19 years into marriage, and I can say that I had to confess to him and apologize to him for not living as a biblical wife for years. I mean, I honestly just confessed this to him and came to him for an apology back in July, so it hasn't even been a year. So we're talking 17 plus years of marriage, and I was doing it wrong. And bless his heart, he didn't leave me, and he's been enjoying seeing the fruit of what it looks like to learn how to be a biblical wife. With that said, things are changing in our home, and it happens very subtly. I've had to look at things that I did with my kids and change course, and a lot of times it seems completely out of our typical way of doing things. So I've had to multiple times kind of say, hey, I had my heart was changed and my eyes have been open to how I was doing things differently. So yeah, you're going to notice changes. And when you're making changes and they're driven by God's design, even though it may be completely foreign, things are better. So with that said, I'm just thinking about all the things that I've been doing wrong. And the amazing thing is I don't have to feel guilty for that. And I also am hopeful, because when you've been away from God's way of doing things, the moment that you change course and ask God for his help and his guidance, he will help. I can only imagine how much closer we are now to his way of doing things. And that's exciting and it's encouraging. And it's not just for my family. So when I get on here and talk about personal stories, it's not because I just want to talk about myself. It's because I want to share encouragement, and that happens through sharing testimony. For me, I mean, I know there are other ways to learn, but I feel like the most the things that carry the most weight are personal testimonies. And I think also it teaches so much compassion, because again, I can look at things that I was doing wrong and how it just takes a change of heart, and it can happen anywhere along the way. And to have people in your life that are humble enough to look at their ways of the past and understand that they weren't the right ways, and to have them then become aware of it and be willing and open to make the changes, good things happen. So with this all said, I believe we have a duty to find out God's way of doing things. And I believe that because I have heard countless complaints about how this generation is. And as an adult that's been a part of raising this generation, it's falling on my shoulders. What the adults of our world today are doing is making or breaking the future for the generations behind us. And there have been generations over the course of history that have been far from God, and it doesn't go well. Okay, so the fire that I'm going to speak is the fact that I'm going to courageously encourage you to look at how you are living, and also ask yourself, how often am I reading my Bible? And if you're not routinely learning God's way and studying how to do things, I'm saying this with the most love I can possibly give, you're failing our future. And I can say that because that was me prior to July. I was actively failing my children's future. And it's not a regret, and I have zero guilt about it, because I've seen the fruit of the last, how many months has it been? 9-10 months. I've seen the fruit of how that heart change, that allowing that reality to sink in, has affected so many things. And these are things, it's interesting because you could come into my house today, and even a year ago, it's not going to look much different. Sure, we got new floors, we have new floors. So you're going to notice those types of things. These types of changes that happen in a heart, in a soul, in tiny little actions along the way, you don't notice them right away. So if you have recently gone through a heart change and you've also made some major changes by the urging of God, and you're not seeing huge changes, even, in the behaviors of your children, for instance, or how your marriage days go, don't be discouraged by that, because the things that need to change are actively changing when your heart changes. So don't be discouraged, and also don't be discouraged by the fact, or offended by the fact, that I said that you're failing our future if you're not doing these things, because it's never too late. This one sermon that I was listening to, it brought up a perfect example of a man who has wayward children who are adults. There was no shame given to even a circumstance like that. If you feel like it's hopeless because you're not raising kids anymore, or maybe you never had kids, don't let that make you feel hopeless. This is something that if a change were to happen today, it will change the course of the future for yourself or your kids or anyone in your life. So once the heart change happens within you, it's just good. So don't be discouraged by hearing things. I'm saying things with love, and they are truth, and we kind of just have to face reality on truth here. Sometimes truth is hard to hear, but that doesn't mean the truth should be stifled. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to be as courageous as I can. It's not always easy, and you might not like it, and that's okay, but it still remains. It is the truth, and that's what I'm seeking. I'm always seeking truth, and I want those people around me to seek truth too. So take it for what it is and do with it what you will. Have a great day.